The NHL announced this morning that free agency is set to begin on October the 9th at 12 p.m. Eastern Time, and you know what that means? More rumors, even if there is still NHL hockey being played right now. When free agency rolls around, you always know the Montreal Canadiens are going to be in the rumor mill, and this time of year it is no different. When it comes to free agency, the Montreal Canadiens always seem to be the bridesmaid and never the bride, and I really don't see that changing much this year. Now hold on, Habs fans, before you start yelling at me, that might not be such a bad thing this year. Darren Dreger of TSN decided to stir the pot this week on TSN 690 and said, I think Taylor Hall would be interested in the Montreal Canadiens. He likes playing in that environment. He's not afraid of the media and all of those things. Well, I hate to break it to you, Darren, but the media in Edmonton and New Jersey might have a difference of opinion with that. Anyways, let's get to the main point here. Would signing Taylor Hall to a long-term deal be a wise investment for Marc Bergevin and the Montreal Canadiens? Heading into the offseason, we already know what the two biggest needs for the Montreal Canadiens are, and that's a top-pairing defenseman to play with Shea Weber. I'm sorry, Ben Sherratt, but I don't see you being that guy for the long term in Montreal. The next thing on the agenda is a right winger with size that can score, and that's going to be the biggest thing Marc Bergevin has to look for this offseason. With that being said, does Taylor Hall fit either of those needs for the Montreal Canadiens? And the answer right now is no. Taylor Hall is a 6'1 left winger that would certainly bolster the Canadian skill set up front, but does that mean they should commit to him long term? I think the answer is no, and here's a couple of reasons why. Besides his 2017-2018 Hart Trophy season, where Taylor Hall put up 93 points and single-handedly led the Devils to the playoffs, he's been widely underwhelming for the rest of his career. Whether it's fair or not, there are certain expectations for a former number 1 overall draft pick, and injuries have certainly played a point in derailing some of Taylor Hall's career thus far. When you look at the analytics behind Taylor Hall, the numbers are fairly underwhelming for the type of player that is supposed to drive the play. Now, we know there's been injuries, but besides his outlier 39 goal campaign, he hasn't surpassed 30 goals once in a season. He has elite skills, and we know that he's a great skater, but he doesn't present the kind of solution that would be wise long-term for Montreal to invest in. When you look at the Montreal Canadiens up front, specifically on their right side, there is a common theme, and that is they aren't big enough and they aren't skilled enough. Right now, it consists of Brendan Gallagher, Paul Byron, Jordan Weal, and Yoel Armia, and 3 out of 4 of these guys are unrestricted free agents after next season. I think the Canadiens would be wise to extend Yoel Armia depending on the type of contract that he's looking for, but the toughest one for me is going to be Brendan Gallagher. He's the heart and soul of this Montreal Canadiens team, but is it wise to extend someone to a long-term deal when he has so much wear and tear on his body? He's likely going to want double the $3.75 million bargain contract that he is on right now, and rightfully so. But is it wise for Marc Bergevin to invest in someone with the style of play that he has? I'm not so sure. That might not be the popular answer amongst Habs fans, but it's certainly one to consider in the long term. Now, there is some hope internally for the Canadiens on the right side. Cole Caulfield could be with the Canadiens as soon as the middle of next season, depending on what happens with the college hockey season, and he would certainly help in the goal-scoring department. But he's also under 5'8" and won't be boosting the Canadiens' size on the right wing. There's also Jesse Ullinen, who is about to make his professional debut in North America with Laval before the pandemic happened. The 6'1 forward plays the style of game that will fit in right with Montreal. I'd expect him to be a call-up candidate as soon as next season and potentially a full-time role with the big club as soon as 2021. Now, with all that being said, I don't think it would be wise long-term for the Montreal Canadiens to commit to Taylor Hall. I really think they should shift their efforts towards defenseman Torrey Krug, someone who could help the power play and be a partner for Shea Weber for the future. If the Canadiens are really set on bolstering their right side up front, I suggest they do so via the trade market. That's it for me today from Cook's Corner. Comment below whether or not you think the Canadiens should go after Taylor Hall in free agency, why or why not. I'm Zach Cook. We'll see you later.